Is Turtle Logo lesson number 1. So you've arrived here by clicking on some link, and what we're going to do today is we're going to start our lessons in using Turtle Logo. So Turtle Logo is a programming language where you get the little turtle to show up on your game console, and it will say things and move around and leave a trail of color behind it. But before we start getting too complex, it's tradition in programming to get your game or program to say back to you, "Hello world," as your very first program, which can seem kind of odd, but it turns out by just getting the computer to say something back to you, you can learn a lot about how your particular programming language works. So this is the layout of our programming language. On the left-hand side, we have a little game console, and it has a D-pad and an A and a B button, and it has a little window where our turtle is going to show up eventually. On the right-hand side in this area, what we're going to have is where we write our programs, and our programs are going to be in blocks, and we're going to click our blocks together, and they're going to be the program that we're going to be using. At the top is going to be our lessons that we follow along on, and in the middle is our program blocks, and they're broken down into separate little menus. So in our Turtle one, at the moment, we have 2 blocks. We're going to increase that eventually. And in our loops, we have this on-start block. So the on-start block comes by default in our program, and what happens is any code that is inside the on-start block, when the program starts to run over here, it will execute any of the code that is in here. So that's our beginning, and it will always show up for us. If for some reason you lose this block, you can go to loops, and you can just drag out another one. If you already have one there, you'll notice it turns gray because you can only have one on start. So if you need to get rid of one, you can just select it and move it to the side, and you'll notice it turns to a little garbage can, and you can throw the block away. So that works for all blocks. If you want to get rid of them, you can just move them into the side here. So to start with, what we need is to get our turtle to show up. So if we go to our turtle menu, the first block says show turtle. So we can grab that block out, and we can click it inside our on start block. If for some reason you don't get it in on the first time and it just lands on the open part, you'll notice it turns gray like the second on start block did. So you can just click it and drag it and drop it in there. Once it's dropped in, you'll notice our game console sort of updated over here, and now our turtle shows up in the middle of the screen. So our program says, when our program starts, show the turtle, which is exactly what happened. Now that we have the turtle, we actually want the turtle to say something to us. And the tradition in programming is to get it to say hello world. So we're going to go back to the turtle, and we're going to drag out this block that says turtle says hello world with an exclamation mark. So you drag it out, and we're going to put it underneath the show turtle block, and we're going to click it into place. Our game console will update again, and now it says hello world to us. So that's your very first program in Turtle Logo, and it's usually the very first program that you write in any new programming language. So you'll notice that the turtle actually just says hello world for 5 seconds, and then the hello world goes away. That's because there's this extra little plus sign here, and by default it says it's going to show it for 5,000 milliseconds, or 5 seconds. You can change this, and there's a couple default values, or if you want and you need it to stay there for a really long time, you can change this number by putting your cursor in there and typing in some number. So I put in 60,000 milliseconds, or 60 seconds, which is the equivalent of 1 minute. So now my hello world will actually stay up there for 1 minute if I wanted. If you don't want it to stay for a really long time, you just want your program to rerun again, there's this little rerun button, and there's another one right here, the same thing. When you click on that, your program will start over again. There's also this stop button that you can click, and when you click stop, it turns into a start button, and you can start it up again. You'll notice when it's kind of grayed out, that means your program isn't running, and when you click it and it turns back to sort of a bluish color, then you know your program is running. So now it's your turn. What I'd like you to do is, instead of it saying hello world, I would like you to get Turtle to say hello to you. So type your name in and get it to update. And for me, it says, hello, Mr. Coxwell. You'll notice it's sort of jogging back and forth. If your text is not too big for the window, it'll scroll back and forth. So that is our very first lesson on how to get Turtle logo working.